It is the Jeparit Rainbow Storm. I don't think we've ever had one quite as exciting as this in all the years that Peter Weir has been coming on the radio to talk to me. And he joins me now. Big Weary, how are you?
Yeah, couldn't be better, Wayne. It's been a great week up at Jeparit Rainbow Footy Club and around the community, and yeah, there's a real sense of excitement after making our first grand final in 26 years last weekend.
Yeah, I saw some pictures last night. The club was very full up at Rainbow. Apparently, even the under-14 boys have come out and kept on training just to get the feel of it all.
Oh, it's so good. I think Spider Everett's done a great job there, Flowman. It's been a really inclusive year up at Jeparit Rainbow, and it shows the under-14s they're full of confidence and they love the senior footy team. And yeah, the belief out on the track was great, and all the Darwin boys came down. We only had 2 players who were playing this grand final on the weekend, missing from training last night. So great atmosphere at the club rooms.
A very good atmosphere, but I tell you what, it was an atmosphere last Saturday that very few will forget, because you're in a grand final after 26 years and they were jumping high on the sidelines when Big Peter Weir took a mark and 35 metres out. He went back, all the pressure on the great man's shoulders, and he slotted it to put him in front for the first time in a long time in the match. And Big Weary, you won the game. Did I build that up nicely?
Yeah, that sounded pretty good, Wayne. But no, it was a great relief. I think, that photo summed up the day pretty well. I think all the spectators were on their edge of their seats, and to get that last goal through was a great finish to the day, and it was a great contest, as you'd expect. Noradjuha Quantong came out firing, Flowman, and they jumped us a little bit early, but you could sort of see as the game wore on, they were a bit buggered from the last couple of finals. It is really tough to get in the District League to come from outside the top 2 to make a grand final, and to be fair to them, they did look like they were starting to wear out a little bit, but they gave everything they could and nearly snatched the win. But yeah, luckily enough, when the siren went, we were on the right side of the ledger. You
were a goal late after the siren had gone with that ball in your forward line to ice the cake, 16-11 to 14-12. And they tell me that Weary, leading into the game, you're a bit out of form, bit out of sorts. 1 goal out of 27 in the last home and away match against the lowly Taylors late. You couldn't get your hand on the thing. And then the next time, I'll tell you what, you were being manhandled, as they say, pretty well by the Harrow Balmoral defenders, and you got a goal that time too, and with 5 for the team. And then you come out best on the ground, 8 goals, 4 in the last quarter. Weary, you lifted for the boys.
Yeah, it was a great feeling, Wayne. I'd been a bit down on form, but my body was actually feeling quite good going into the game, and it had for the last couple of weeks. I just couldn't get into it. So to get on the end of a few was awesome, and I had to check the results a couple of times Sunday morning, Flowman, because I couldn't quite believe it that we're in a grand final. And by the Sunday night, I realised that it was right, the scores were right, and we were going to be in the big dance. So huge relief. It was pretty surreal that last quarter to get the boys home. But very, very happy to be in a grand final.
Oh, well said. William Hutchison 3, and Ash Clugston was magnificent with a couple. What about the effort from Nicholas Yaron? He topped your poll in the Della medal, which is the Horsham District BNF. Trent Burgoyne really finding this pace of the game could be very damaging. Sinadowski was very good. Tom Long gets a lot of it and delivers it beautifully, and Antonio James showed why he has been recruited to the club. Well, it was Jackson Kerr playing hard and Dylan Bushby for the Noradjuha Quantong side. We better have a look at the other grades very quickly here in the prelim finals. And in the reserve grade, we had a good performance to make it through from Noradjuha Quantong. Get to their reserves in 12-7-98 to Kalki 10-9-69.
Yeah, I saw a bit of this game, and the Kalki boys just couldn't quite get in front. Noradjuha Quantong just kept them at arm's length all day, and they've set up a home grand final for their Resi's team.
And the 17s was a big performance from Nadimak, 17-6, 108 to Kalki, 8-5-53. Nadimak have come from nowhere in this series. They were 5th on the ladder, and this is a great effort from them. 9-7 their record, and that really shows something to get through to a prelim final.
Yeah, definitely playing their best footy at the right time of the year, Flowman, and they've put Kalki out in straight sets, and they look a genuine chance to knock off Pimpinoi.
Noradjuha Quantong, another side, into the finals. They were second in the season. They ended on equal premiership points with Rapania when they came against each other in the big under-14 game on the weekend. It was a terrific performance to put themselves into a grand final by the Bomber boys, 7-8-50 to 4-2, 26 for Rapania.
Yeah, I think there's probably a bit more even squad at Noradjuha Quantong. I think Repaniup rely on a couple of stars, and that doesn't always work in finals, Flowman. So it was the even team effort of the Quantong boys that saw them get in a grand final.
Excellent stuff. All right, let's take a look at during the week that Elemental, and a great win here by Mitch Gleeson, who's picked up the votes, 28 of them. A great effort from him. He takes out the medal.
Yeah, he came into the league with big raps, Flowman. It probably took him the first year and a bit to really get going in the league. But, yeah, it's been a very successful swap for him to come from Charlton, Flowman. He was a big player in their grand final premiership team last year. And then as an individual player this year, he did his best for the team. Couldn't quite get the result as a team. But, yeah, to get that individual recognition is a great effort from Mitch Gleeson. And Benny McIntyre consistently polls well, always plays good footy when you play Eden Hope. And he was a well-deserved runner-up.
And Nick Yarram, your club was up there in the leaderboard, not quite got there in the end.
Yeah, I think only playing 10 games probably hurts him in terms of votes, but we know what sort of impact he has. He has all throughout the year, in that final last weekend when it was really crunch time, he stood up through the middle of the ground and got the ball forward, and expect for another big outing from him this weekend. Lockie
Wiedemann, very good from the Repaniup Club, the best under 21, and Big Simon Close, 80 big snags for the season. If Weir hadn't taken those massive overseas trips and lagged off early in the season when he shouldn't have, he might have even won the goal kicking, Weary.
I'm not sure about that. Simon Close is a classy act at centre forward, and we'll see that on the weekend. But, yeah, it should be some great matchups all over the ground. But, yeah, he's always a consistent player, and that's why he's kicked his 80 goals for the year.
All right, Saturday night, win, lose or draw, there's a bus to take you players back to Rainbow. Sunday is the BNF count. Did somebody get their programming for this? Because I reckon that there could be some players at the BNF count that just might well be celebrating. If you win this game, it could just be that the BNF counter is not going to be very easy. They might stay up all night, some of these fellows. Yeah, I'd say there'll be some dark sunglasses getting around on Sunday at the best and fairest count, Flowman, but I'm sure the club won't care if we give them plenty to celebrate Saturday night and Sunday afternoon. Yeah, it's going to be a fantastic the grand final. We'll start in the morning. It's at Quantong. There was a bit of moisture about and a bit of wind too. I don't think that'll affect the game. The little fellas from Conniva get the home side Noradjuha in the big match for the grand final in the under-14s. I've tipped the Cougar boys to get home.
Yeah, I think the Cougars, they finished on top of the ladder. These two teams were the standout under-14 teams. Noradjuha Quantong will really enjoy being on their home ground, but yeah, I think the Conniva boys, they've been pretty strong all year, and they might start the day off with the first premiership.
And Pimpernio, look, they've been absolutely magnificent. They haven't lost a game in the under-17s, and they get for a grand final opposition, a side that has that just found their way into this very important game. And in the end, when you look at Nadimak, they have just been magnificent on a roll. But I think Pimpernio come out and take Nadimak on here, and I think we'll win this 17s.
Yeah, Pimp are going to be hard to beat. I did actually look back through the scores, Flowman, and when they met earlier in the year, it was only a 2-goal game, and I think Pimp and I are undefeated. Nadimak are the underdog, so it's very similar to what's going to be happening in the senior game. So just on the back of that, I'm going to go for Nadimak, but yeah, probably on paper that people will be tipping Pimp and I.
Well, it was a warm day last week, but it's going to be a bit cooler, I think around maybe about the 14-odd degrees. So that being the case, the Twos won't mind those lovely cooler conditions for the grand final, and Harrow Balmoral get their first of their senior grand finals against Noradjuha Quantong, who are a very, very well-represented side on grand final day.
Yeah, I think great depth, obviously, from the Harrow Club, and the Quantong boys nearly had both teams in the grand final as well. So Shane Oakley comes back into the Noradjuha Quantong team, and he always kicks a lot of goals. So maybe at home, the Quantong boys, but yeah, it's amazing how much reserves footy steps up on grand final day. So I'm expecting a great contest, but maybe Noradjuha Quantong can get the job done at home.
Yeah, I think what you say there is really important in the context of that they look like senior footballers. You've trained all year, they've been out to training, training 2 nights a week when it gets to finals in the reserves, and suddenly they're interested. It is very important for the senior match. It's been 26 years in the making. A bloke called Heath Clugston was running around as a 16-year-old. He's now the butcher in the main streets of both Hopetoun and Rainbow. Clugston's meet, and Heath's a bit older these days and a bit more pain in the old loins for that fellow. But on that day, they won a premiership 26 years ago back in 1997 when Cluggo was a 16-year-old. Well, he gets to watch on the sidelines a lot of the blokes he's watched and played with for many years as Jeparit Rainbow get their first dip for 26 years against the mighty Harrow Balmoral. Peter Weir, can you win it?
Yeah, I think we can, Flowman. I think it's been Harrow's year, but I've got no doubt it can be Jeparit Rainbow's day. And yeah, it was great to see a few of those past premiership players at training last night. And like I touched on earlier, the feeling around the club's awesome. It's a big relief off everyone's shoulders. I think, after not quite making grand finals for a few years, everyone was pretty tense going into the final series. But yeah, after getting through to the grand final, you can just see it in the players and see in the supporters. There's a big weight off the shoulders, and I think that'll reflect in the game on Saturday.
Yeah, there's a couple of things you've got to do, and that is to put out of your mind the, poor performance when they absolutely took you apart in the massive semi-final, 17-17 to 5-6. You've got to find something to control Plush. He was brilliant that day. Pekin was high up in the medal again and is the class act. They've got the Close brothers. There's others in their side. Stouty's a very good player too. What do you do to stop them, or do you concentrate on your fleet of foot running skills? Your pace could be very important here. Nicholas Yaron's been very good. We know out of the middle that you've got the run. Can you use your pace against them this time, which you weren't able to a couple of weeks ago?
Yeah, I think the focus will be on our team, Flowman. We know the Harrow team's a well-drilled, well-coached side, but I think looking across our team, it looks like a grand final team. It looks like a team that can win a premiership, and there's probably 8 or 10 genuine match winners in the game, so for Jeparit Rainbow, and that's a worry for their coaching lineup because that's hard to coach against. So on grand final day, anything can happen. One thing you always want to do well is start, though. You want to start well, so that'll be a big focus for Jeparit Rainbow, but we know Harrow's got good players all across the ground as well. There's going to be some great matchups like it was last weekend. It's going to take every minute of the game to beat them, but I think we definitely can, and I think a lot of the league will be on our side, so there's going to be some great support there for Jeparit Rainbow, and there's no reason we can't go out there and provide a big upset for the day and knock them off.
What about the side? Is it unchanged? I've just had a quick look through the names. Have you gone in with the same team?
Brad Stokes comes in, he's the only change. Dean Perkins unfortunately got to go out, and that's a bit of a points-based thing too. We've been a 2-pointer, we needed the extra point to bring Stokes in, so we were full 42 out of 42. Matt Thomas is probably the unlucky one to miss out. He was injured against Taylor's Lake and then hurt his back in the first final against Harrow, so he's a bloke who's played seniors all year that'll miss the grand final, but yeah, that's unfortunate for Matty. But apart from that, yeah, we're taking in pretty much a full-strength team, Flowman.
All right, they've got the club room set up. Thursday night was massive. Saturday night could even be bigger. Sunday could also continue the celebrations at Rainbow for the Jeparit Rainbow Storm. It's a big day at Quantong. Weary, I know that you've waited for this moment your whole career. You spent some time over in Adelaide and came back home to the club to bring some success to it, and suddenly you find yourself in the first grand final that the club's been in for 26 years. Go to it. All the very best. Hope you have a fantastic game.
Yeah, I can't wait to get out there, Flowman, and not just as a player, as a supporter and a committee member. It's been great fun this week, and let's hope the fun continues.